Hello and welcome back to a new League of Legends video. So today's topic is going to be why is League of Legends going so toxic. I haven't played this game for many months. Now during this pandemic I've gone back to it and I've really been enjoying it, but the one thing that is very clear to me is that this game is incredibly toxic in normal games and rank, and it's just getting stupid. So I just wanted to throw my 10 pence into the ring of why I think people are being either toxic or they're just flaming or they're kind of just frustrated sometimes, I think. So just to give you a bit of an idea about this video though, there's 3 different gameplay on here. The first one is my Lucian bottom lane, where I did 19 kills and 14 assists. The second 2 games of me being a mid lane Annie, with 2 games that we somehow turned around back to back. These games were turned them around back to back. We shouldn't have won really either of them, but we did. The first one was 8 kills, 8 assists. The second was 7 kills, 19 assists. So that game was really good for Annie. But like I say, I will get on to my topic of why has League of Legends gone so toxic. So I've kind of got several different causes of why I think either people are getting toxic, getting frustrated, or just flaming. The number one cause is you're going to get it in any game, and unfortunately any team game where you're relying on other people, is you're always going to get trolls, unfortunately. But you're always going to get a case where people are going to accuse you of being a troll even though you're not, and it's just for a different reason. Another reason, poor teamwork. The amount of games where you've got a jungler who doesn't want to gank, doesn't want to help, you know, even though you've asked, right, I'm outranked here or outranged here in this lane, I'm going to need you to kind of stay close, let's gank, let's put this person down very early, so then, you know, we can get on top of it, put that person out of the game straight away. You've also got Trihard, so you've got people who are tryharding too much, they're focusing more on themselves, so once again that links into kind of poor teamwork. You've got perfectionists, so you've got people who don't want to kind of risk dying, but then usually the same type of people who start flaming when you're trying to make something work, you're trying to kill your opposite person and they're going, oh, you're dying, you're feeding, blah blah blah, and this person could literally just be sat on potentially a 1-1, and this could be like 20 odd minutes in, you know, they've died, they've killed someone, but they've not done a huge amount of work, but they'll flame anyway. And one of my major reasons why a lot of toxic happens is it's either just a bad day for you or a bad game. And usually if you have one really bad game, sometimes you can have another really bad game. And unfortunately that just leads into a bad day. So it's just a case of sometimes you need a good team around you to kind of pull you through, pull your effort up. You know, you might be trying very hard to do everything, but people are just going to start claiming that you're trolling and you're feeding, and it just then starts going downhill very quickly. So, right, we're going to go into this a bit more in detail. So this is a bit more into my opinionated rant now. So, like I say, trolls, you don't get them every game, but the only thing is you can usually tell who is actually being a proper troll and who's just being a dick on purpose, you know. And unfortunately it immediately ruins a game, because you can usually tell quite early on if they're doing it on purpose, and it's not always a case of they're just having a bad game. Obviously that is sometimes what happens, and people do, like I said before, people do get accused of being a troll. They're just having a bad game, they're being outmatched, you know, technically they've been outdrafted in the original picks, you know, you're trying to play your best, potentially your best champion, and unfortunately the opposition player, their best champion, is someone who can easily destroy yours. So sometimes that's just what happens. So obviously you just need to report them trolls who are actually doing it on purpose, and try not to accuse people very early on of being a troll. because usually that turns into something else. For example, I'm very defensive. If someone thinks I'm being a troll, I'm usually saying, no, I'm not. I'm just trying my best. It's just not happening. I'm not getting any help. You know, sometimes it's just a case of that. Which then, like I say, it leads on to poor teamwork. So there have been too many games where some players are just looking out for number one and refuse to roam and help others, even though it's quite clear someone could be outmatched. They're not bothered. Now this can stem a lot to sometimes junglers who refuse to gank or realise one of the teammates is outmatched, like I said, and that jungler sitting on that lane can turn the tide for that lane and that champion. Junglers who don't do the objectives as well, or claim no one was willing to help them, but everyone was ready to help. Them type of things can really turn the game toxic when you can see a jungler hasn't even attempted to go for the objectives of the Drakes, the Barons, the Rift Heralds, and it's clear they've not really been ganking. That, junglers have a very key job. That's the thing that can really turn the tide of a game. It's not always the case. Someone in the lane could start really heavily carrying, but a jungler can easily turn the tide for several lanes, especially if he ganks right. But another thing with the poor teamwork is just some people just have a really bad attitude, or they've got a superior complex where they just think, I'm this rank, that level, blah blah blah. Good for you, mate. You're not the only person. You try and take on everything yourself, and you don't help anyone else out. You're not going to get far. You're not going to win the game by yourself. So you need to kind of. They're the type of people who can be very quick to be toxic. For example, I've had a game recently where I was one kill, 2 deaths, and the guy started saying I was feeding. I was like, right, it's 15 minutes in, I've killed him, I've had 2 deaths, one of them was very unlucky. How can you start saying I'm feeding and try to be a troll? It doesn't work. It doesn't work. You've also got teammates who just watch team fights or attempt at taking objectives, and the other team jump in on these players, but they'll just watch and kind of walk away, and it's like, and then they'll go, right, you're all feeding, but you just there. You could have been the difference for that team fight. You can't then start turning around and start flaming and being toxic. No, that's not how it works. You've got to be part of the team. You've got to play with the team. It doesn't work. So for me, a lot of the toxic occurrences in the game and the flaming occurs just because it's either poor communication, poor attitudes, or very poor teamwork. That is the main ones. Like I say, you got a lot of Trihard players. They either try and do one of 3 things. Either they're being too aggressive, and in the wrong game, unfortunately, they'll get destroyed. In the right game, obviously, it'll pay off for them. You've got the other extreme of not aggressive at all, sits on the turret and doesn't help anyone at all. And obviously, if you sit on the turret, a good chance is you're going to lose your early CS. And obviously, they don't take risks to try and make something happen. And you've got the person that sits in between. They go between being defensive and aggressive. And they're the ones that, they don't want to try and feed. They don't want to feed at all, but they're also trying to make something happen. And obviously, on them games, it can go either of 2 ways, really. And then, like I say, if someone tries to take a couple of risks to make something happen, people are very quick to jump on them and start shouting feeding and become very toxic. And yet, like I say, you could be sat on like 2 kills, 1 deaths in 30 minutes, and that person, then people are just going nuts. But then start claiming, if you're not doing anything as well with that type of score, that you've gone missing in action. It's like, hang on, I'm trying to pop off a couple of kills without actually, giving any deaths, and you're flaming on me. So it ranges between all them 3. depends on what happens in the game, really. Let's be honest. And then, like I said before, you got perfectionists. So someone who, at the first sign of a problem, goes nuts and just continuously starts slating someone to the point where that person may go AFK. Once again, toxic flaming. Of course, someone to actually abandon the game. Obviously, that person's going to get reported as well. But it's just not helped the situation, and that game is now potentially ruined. And unfortunately, that you got some of these perfectionists who just more bothered about their KDA in the game, KDA overall. You know, as soon as the other parts of the team are trying their best to do something, this person decides, nah, I'm not risking it. I'm not risking dying. I don't want to look like half dead. But at the same time, I've done absolutely nothing. And like I said before, unfortunately, it could just be a case of you having a bad day. Things just haven't gone right. You haven't got the rub of the green. And unfortunately, then that leads to toxic. And like I said before, I'm the type of person who will obviously try and defend themselves. Fair enough, there are actual games where I'm like, right, yeah, my bad. I'm just having a shocker here. Sorry, fellas. And then people go, oh, report. Okay, report. Whatever. And then you got other people who start shouting report for all sorts of different reasons and try and be toxic, and it's just very confusing. There's just no need for it at all, and it's just very confusing. Second guessing players who get toxic, but they can be the one that can change it. You know, things aren't going to go perfect. And they pretend that everyone else should be perfect, and that they also know somehow all your champions' abilities and how they play, but yet they've probably not played them. And they probably start saying, why didn't you do this, why didn't you do that, and it starts getting frustrating. For example, with Annie, I've had quite a few people go, why haven't you used your stun, why haven't you used your Q, what are you doing, why haven't you used your Q, your stun? Right, okay, if you knew anything about Annie, her Q doesn't always stun. Plus, it's actually her abilities. It's her next ability that stuns. But it's like almost every other ability. It doesn't happen all the time. If it did, she would be OP. And I would smash people. And I would love that if she could actually stun every single time. But it's her next ability sometimes that can stun. So that could be a Q, that could be a W. So people pretending that they know other people's champions, or at least they think they know, and they start flaming and trolling, and it starts going downhill. And like I say, once that starts happening, other people pipe up and it just ruins the whole game. But lastly, one of my last points is, when people start flaming and getting toxic, why do they start trying to get personal? Because obviously you're going to get reported, you're going to get griefing and harassment reported against you. But especially at this time, in this world, people try to get personal, saying, oh, I hope your parents die, I hope your family members die. Right, very insensitive right now. And the amount of people who start making very malicious comments and start being homophobic to people, and I'm having to be the one that's actually stood there. It could be nothing to do with me. I've actually called out teammates and said, why have you said that? That's wrong. You can't say stuff like that to another teammate. You can't do that. Everyone sometimes is too quick to start flaming, start reporting, start shouting all these type of comments. You know, obviously it depends sometimes on what your mindset is for that day, but you just need to think, are they actually trying to do their best, or are they not? You know, if you're not happy with them, just sometimes it's best just to not comment. If you want to report them. You don't have to actually tell them. You know, you don't have to start rubbing it in. So really, what I'm trying to say is, people just need to be a little bit more relaxed. Obviously, unless you know it's a troll, Yeah, like I say, that can be very obvious sometimes. Unless you know it's a troll, try and just keep your cool. Try not to comment all the time. Just communicate better. Use your pings better. Tell people that your opposite champion's gone off lane. He's gone your lane. Blah blah blah. Just communicate better. Be nicer. Don't get personal. And all that. And we're drawing to the end of the video. And like I say, it's more of an opinionated kind of rant on why I think things have gone toxic. So if you have an opinion or a comment, chuck them in below. Make sure to like, subscribe to the channel. That would be much appreciated. And I hope you all have a good week and try and look after yourselves during this pandemic. And like I say, if you've got a comment, chuck it in below of your opinion. Okay, thank you very much, guys.